Innovation is life. If you do not grow, if you do not change, if you do not innovate, you die.
Innovation is central to advancement and improving the economy and the quality of life in Northwest Indiana.
The society was an eye-opener for many people.
We were the first to say that innovation exists in the region. No one talked about innovation in those days.
It was definitely a door for me to get to know my community. I don't ever feel alone in the business.
People and leaders in Northwest Indiana get the idea that something's different, something's new, something's special about Northwest Indiana. And I don't know how you unlearn that. You don't.
There is a greater sense of feeling of accomplishment and a sense of pride that otherwise would not have existed without the society. Innovation can be anywhere, and anyone can be an innovator.
The Society of Innovators helped us realize that innovation occurs here, that innovators live here, who want to encourage innovation right here in Northwest Indiana.
My name is Sheila Matias. I'm the Executive Director of the Society of Innovators at Purdue Northwest. The Society of Innovators has a very storied and wonderful history of sharing a buzz about innovation, which is found in every corner of our region. What is remarkable is that many innovators don't consider themselves such. They say, well, I just was trying to figure something out. And we say, well, that's an innovation. They're like, it just came to me. Innovation is found in every corner of our region, in every shop, in every business, in every nonprofit. It's trying to capture that creative energy, imagining another way, another method, a project, a protocol, a process improvement. Those creators that we see around our region are what makes our region so dynamic, so competitive, and truly so productive. At this time, we're going to go through a short program. I would like to introduce next our board chair, Gary Johnson, who is going to share just a few brief comments about the history of the Society of Innovators and why we feel that it is an essential to our business community and to our culture in general in the region to focus on the power of innovation. Gary?
Well, thank you very much, Sheila. And Sheila, thanks very much to you and Jason and the board members that have worked through the issues to reinvigorate our awards program. It's a great pleasure to be part of today's event, which is announcing the updated award process for the Society of Innovators. You know, looking back on the Society, it was founded about 15 years ago as a program at Ivy Tech. And the beginnings of it were to identify and celebrate innovators and innovation throughout Northwest Indiana. And as we look back on what they've accomplished, they've managed to identify and recognize over 1,000 innovators. And if I were to guess at the beginning of that program, no one would have thought there were 1,000 innovators in Northwest Indiana. There are. I mean, we're a region that's primarily noted for its heavy industry, which of course needs innovation in order to continue moving forward. But we also have a great group of small and medium-sized enterprises that have launched significant innovations over the years that have helped them remain successful and competitive, have been identified by the Society. And we also have not-for-profits. And one of the really unique features of the Society of Innovators is that we have recognized not-for-profits in education, social service, wherever they might be, as making significant contribution to innovation throughout our region. So as we look back at history, 2018-17 era was an important transition for the Society. Ivy Tech had decided that after 13 years of incubating the society that it was ending that relationship, at which time we successfully formed an affiliation with Purdue Northwest, which is an organization looking very much to being deeply involved in all aspects of it, of advancing quality of life and economic development in Northwest Indiana, and saw the society as a very important vehicle by which it could continue to engage with the community. And as we look at the society today, we've broadened that mission from recognition and identification of innovators to one of more broad economic development. We today are thinking of identifying and celebrating innovators to provide motivation, create role models of success, and provide mentors. And of course, that dovetails very, very nicely with the program that we're describing today to resume the identification and the honoring of those innovations and innovators. Beyond that, we're committed to expanding educational opportunities through workshops, certificate programs, et cetera. Of course, that dovetails very nicely with the academic activities at Purdue Northwest, in addition to the other organizations Sheila is deeply involved in, the Leadership Institute. We are looking to create greater connectedness between innovators and other groups, such as entrepreneurs, through networking events, newsletters, social media, etc. And principally through the energy of Jason, we've become very active in that sphere. And then finally, we seek to collaborate with other organizations focused on economic and community development to integrate the power of innovation into their agenda. And one of the best examples that I can think of is that is the role that the Society of Innovators is playing in the entrepreneurism and innovation pillar of Ignite the Regional Plan, with a key initiative of that being Impact Labs, which will be a major regional initiative that is being developed now, which will incorporate both a virtual component and a physical component to provide a physical space and a virtual space for innovators to interact not only with themselves and the community, but with professional organizations, professional investors, and so forth. But we're very excited to be part of Northwest Indiana Forum's activity connected with Ignite, the Regional Economic Development Program. So as you can see, we have a great past, and we are now building on that past to bring about new directions for the society in cooperation with Purdue Northwest to increase the impact of innovation on the development of our economy and also the improvement in our quality of life in Northwest Indiana. Thank you.
Great. Well, Gary, thank you so much. Appreciate the overview and a bit of history. And yes, obviously there's a lot of exciting developments at the Society over this last year or so. Certainly a lot we continue to look forward to. But today, again, really wanted to focus on these awards and just the excitement that we've built up amongst our team as we get ready to relaunch that. And some of this, Gary, you certainly covered. But we wanted to also just kind of reiterate, some of the criteria and, just in general, what these awards are all about and what they will continue to be all about. And this slide here, really a core part of our foundation and mission, going back to even the early beginnings in 2004, 2005, that this idea of the Society of Innovators, and quite frankly, the idea of innovation or ingenuity, comes from everywhere. And this idea that innovators, anyone can be an innovator, and innovation does truly come from anywhere. And now more than ever, it's recognizing just the diversity of thought and people behind all the ideas that drive Northwest Indiana forward. Gary mentioned nonprofits, some of these industries you may not think of as innovators, maybe top of mind, maybe more technology or manufacturing. But the fact is, especially if you look at our roster, over a decade or more that innovation is coming from all sectors across the region, and also the people behind them. We've had high school students to retirees and everything in between. So people of all colors, of all backgrounds are driving the ideas here in the region. And so we want to make sure that that is still maintained going forward. And as we open up these nominations, we want to make sure that we're doing our best to promote this across the region and really leave no stone unturned when it comes to the best new ideas and the best new innovators here in Northwest Indiana. So what is innovation? And this is really what our awards committee, what our judging panel later this summer is going to take a look at. So first and foremost, again, innovation. I've always said if you ask 100 people to define innovation, you're going to get about 110 different answers. But for the most part, right, there are some commonalities of what makes an innovation, and then again, the innovator behind those. So first and foremost, we're looking at really the need or problem it solves, or what opportunity has it created. A good problem solving, in my mind, is a good synonym for innovation. And how are the innovators in our communities solving bigger and better problems. This is a awards platform or an induction process looking at the person, not just the project or the innovation that person's responsible for. So we do want to examine what was this person's role in making the innovation happen. Is this if it's an entrepreneur, that's one thing, but if it was someone in more of a corporate environment, is this the person that was leading the effort? What was their role? Looking at the value and benefits, right? As we're solving problems, what value is it providing the community in return? And it could be financial gain. It could be a new product launch or a service launch. It could be cost savings within a corporate environment. It may not be something going out to end users. There could be value coming back to a community as far as just quality of life. It may be in some nonprofit efforts. So again, we want to look at the value that is bringing to the table, and also what is that evidence of that value that is bringing to the table. So again, quantifiable evidence, again, could be finances in literally sales dollars. It could be cost savings. There could be media coverage. There's a number of different ways that we may be able to look at something and see that it was validated by the marketplace and by the end users. So a quick look at really the induction process and who we're looking to recognize, and then Gary will come back on here in just a minute to talk about a few new special awards we're launching in 2020. But the Society of Innovators has traditionally, and we will continue to recognize both individuals and teams. And again, we're looking at the criteria just shown on the previous slide, but the eligibility for the most part is anyone that lives or work in Northwest Indiana. We recognize, right, there could be folks commuting from the other side of the state line, and we welcome that. We just want to make sure that the innovators and the work that they're responsible for is really impacting life and business here. Certainly, we hope to see innovation that is scaling outside of Northwest Indiana, but we want to make sure it really originated here in Northwest Indiana. And really, with the team, I guess the key thing to point out with teams is we're not just looking for teams limited to a large corporation. Certainly, there are plenty of teams that have been inducted into the Society's past that are at a large corporation, be it NIPSCO or ArcelorMittal. But we're also looking for those cross industry teams, cross company teams. It could be a not-for-profit that's teamed up with a for-profit. It could be a handful of not-for-profits coming together. I know Maggie Sparks, for example, is on this call. There was recently a strong collaboration between some of the community foundations. Perfect example of where a cross organization team could be coming from. So again, we're just looking for a group of individuals that have come together to drive an innovation in our community. And finally, with the fellowship, again, a legacy award that we're bringing to the table. Previously, the Gerald I. Lampkin Fellowship. Some of you may be familiar with that name through the years at Ivy Tech. And going forward, we're excited to continue to recognize fellows and really those individuals that really rise above the rest and really show a much stronger body of work and success over a number of years. And we will continue to select and nominate up to 5 different innovators as fellows each year. And the one change, for those of you familiar with some of the past activities at the Society, again, we're really looking at sustained innovation. And so with the fellowship, we are changing this to where we're going to be looking at folks that have been inducted for at least 2 years prior into the Society. So, for 2020, as we look at the fellows, everyone that's been inducted in the past up till 2018, which again was the last year of a full slate of inductions, that is really the selection pool we're looking at. So we're looking at folks that were previously inducted and in the recent years have continued to put out strong innovation and really have a strong influence on the community. So Gary, I will let you share about some of our new special awards here.
Okay, thank you very much, Jason. We're very excited to name the award for team innovation after Dr. Richard C. Sussman. I knew Richard all too briefly. He was chairman of the board of the Society of Innovators as I was becoming involved, and had the pleasure of working with him on a number of occasions in that capacity. And as we thought about the names for our awards, and given that we're celebrating innovation in Northwest Indiana, we felt that it was important to honor innovators from Northwest Indiana with the naming of the awards. And there's no one that we can think of that really is more deserving of having a Team Innovation Award named after him than Richard Sussman. He led an international research effort based in East Chicago. He led the effort for ArcelorMittal, which was his final position in a long and very successful career of innovation in the steel industry following his PhD from MIT. Very distinguished career, years in Northwest Indiana, was very committed to Northwest Indiana and added many important innovations to steelmaking at ArcelorMittal, which certainly has contributed to their ongoing success, which obviously means an important economic development and quality of life contribution to Northwest Indiana. So it really is an honor for me to be able to announce the Team Innovation Award henceforth will be named the Richard C. Sussman Prize for Team Innovation. And then one other special award that we have. Jason, do you want me to continue with this?
Yeah, please.
And once again, we're very fortunate to be able to name this award after someone that we could not imagine being more deserving. And that's the John H. Davies Lifetime Achievement Award. John has been involved with the Society of Innovators from its very beginning, and in many ways provided the life force that drove it forward, the record of success that it achieved while being affiliated with Ivy Tech. And John has numerous other contributions to economic development and the quality of life in Northwest Indiana. And, once again, it's a tremendous honor for me to be able to announce that the Society's highest honor for an individual leader, which, by the way, will not be made every year, it will be evaluated by the board every year. But it's such a distinguished award that it's going to take a record of achievement similar to John in order to be honored with this award. And it may well be, if we keep the bar that high, that John may well be the only recipient.
No.
So we're quite hopeful that we can find other worthy recipients around Northwest Indiana. And once again, it's just an honor for the Society, and in particular, to be able to announce today that the Lifetime Achievement Award will be associated with the name of John H. Davies.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Gary. So yes, as a team, we are very excited and honored to be able to recognize two great individuals that really were responsible for, incubating and laying the groundwork for, many years ahead for the work and the influence that society can have. And John, I know you are on the call, so to defend you a little bit, right? This is certainly not a reflection that your work is done. We know that you continue to be a big influence here in the region, and you still really live out the spirit of collaboration in all that you've done over the last year and a half to just help us as we've continued to move this forward and really revisit and revamp these awards. So we appreciate everything you do. So thanks again.
Thank you, Jason.
And then the other piece, and as we've renamed some of these awards, some of you may be familiar that there previously was a Chanute Prize, and we recognize, right, again, this was the idea of, or the spirit of Octave Chanute, very legacy innovator here in the region. It was really baked into the foundation of what we're doing way back in 2005. It really started, with the Octave Chanute inspiration. And so we wanted to keep that going forward. Certainly you can see even in some of our identity and brand marks there in the bottom right of the screen, you can still see that the Chanute wings, we've maintained that. But even more so, we wanted to make sure that our, that spirit of Octave Chanute is present on the innovators that we do recognize. And so one new, it's called an award, but more of a recognition piece that all of our innovators will receive. And actually, John was also the first recipient of his wings last fall when we were able to give him the first Lifetime Achievement Award. But we will soon be reaching out to all of our past inductees and certainly all of our inductees going forward. You will receive your wings. We have created a unique Chanute Wings lapel pin that all the innovators recognized by the Society will receive. So just a way for you to really show off that you are in fact an innovator, and we hope to see wings all across the region as we can begin gathering in person here in the months to come. And we also have a few other fun surprises. So for those of you who are on here that may have been a past inductee, and certainly for those that may listen to this later, stay tuned. We will soon be contacting you this week with some more information to just re-engage and get you back involved with society, and again, get your wings to you. So Sheila.
Yeah, well, thank you, Jason. I wanted to say, first of all, you've touched, our presenters today touched on the past of the Society of Innovators, the present of the Society of Innovators, and now we've given you a glimpse into the future. What we really want to stress, and I appreciated Gary saying, it's not just to talk about innovation, but it's to talk about the impact of innovation on our region, on economic development, on community development, and on creating a dynamic and competitive and amazing place to live and to work, to raise a family, and to live a full life. So innovation isn't just something that happens in a science lab, it happens in every corner of the region. And today we wanted to make sure that everyone realized we are here, we are engaged, and we are determined to make sure that innovation has its place at the table, and it's part of what makes our region amazing. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate you making time for us today. And it's great to be able to celebrate good news. And this is the point of our awards, is to really highlight and celebrate those who are innovating and making the region the wonderful and rich community that it is. Thank you so much.